But can I maybe start by picking up Charu's point about the fact that it's not a capabilities issue for women, that women obviously have the same talent traits in spades, actually, if that's the case, but that we don't see the women in these leadership positions as we see the men. So what is the issue? I mean, you have these great stats, Sharu, and thank you for sharing those with me. The consultant, you know, obviously it's about the numbers and it's about the research and the backing. So what's the issue? Why aren't women able to be seen and heard and valued and recognized for what they bring to the table? You know, I'm opening it up to our panelists. Please unmute and chime in. I think this is a great discussion starter for this panel.
Thank you, Georgette. I mean, the stats just validate what we've all been saying for a while, right? But there are a couple of things, and I think the reasons can be manifold. If you just go to the bottom of it, there are, at the very entry levels, there are some fields of career, STEM industries specifically, that are not even attracting women at the entry level, right? So the ratio of women coming in is 30% to 70% women, men in many of these more scientific, engineering, STEM industries. So there is already a problem to start with at the very, you know, at the bottom level. We then talk about the leaky pipe, and the leaky pipe has been talked about for years. It's not a leaky pipe, it's a broken pipe. It was a pipe that was designed for a 9-to-5 career in a very long time back. It wasn't designed for flexibility. It wasn't designed for adaptability. It wasn't designed to accommodate people, women specifically, who wanted to come into the workforce at different points in their career. It was meant for women to grow through their careers, work and act exactly like men. And then, you know, you're hoping against hope that they will stick around and then perform just as men. The third thing is, it is, again, a proven fact that women role models, and I know you will talk about that in a bit, modeling of leadership behaviors at the very top invites more diverse behavior to go through the ranks. If you do not have modeling leadership or leadership modeled, which is diverse at the very top, you will not have at the bottom or through the ranks people emerging of diverse backgrounds. And you know, when I talked about the stats, there are only 30% of women in senior executive positions. I'm not talking about CEOs. I'm talking about senior executive positions. So at the very top, you aren't showing too much by way of role models to be inviting women to aspire. I think some, you know, somebody talked about this, Xiangwei, you talked about this, about it's not about whining, it's not about complaining, but at the end of the day, when you are coming in with a set of challenges or with a set of circumstances which are different than what perhaps men face, you know, I go back to the story about my male colleague asking me as to how my husband felt. You are working with a set of audience who perhaps haven't changed in their behavior or understanding of your situation as you have. So you have entered a workforce. You obviously feel very compelled because you have the talent, you've got the capabilities, and you think you're going to make it. But at the same time, half the people who are supposed to work with you don't feel the same way. So it's, for the longest of times, we've talked about women leaning in. Women want, you know, how do you coach women? How do you mentor women? It's not about women's behaviors changing. It's about how do you also actively coach men to account for, you know, diversity at the workplace. What can they do differently? There is a fundamental difference in terms of forever coaching women. Women are not the problem here. Right? And our efforts, yeah, absolutely. You know, our efforts are on the problem.
Absolutely. So I'm going to throw it open to the one man who's on this panel, John. What's your response to that? Because you're also seeing, as part of your role,